Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeff Martin and Jeff Burrows from the band The Tea Party. And may I say, may the rock be with you.
All right. Well, welcome back to May the Rock Be With You, fellas. It's been about 6 years since we both last chatted separately, which is awesome. So, I mean, let's have a quick catch up. How the last 6 years been for you?
Go ahead, JM.
Well, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, just coming out of the pandemic, like most bands. It was a crazy time, and just trying to stay creative during that time period was most challenging. But we ended up doing some pretty cool things, like hey Jeff, like the isolation video, and we even we're so bored we covered like a Morrissey song, So
both of which were very apropos for the pandemic too, because every day felt like Sunday, and we were quite in isolation, so it was good times.
That's great. But of course, we are here though because the Tea Party are ready for some shows back in Australia in June, which is awesome. Celebrating 25th years of Triptych. So when you're doing these anniversary type shows, how are you going to be structuring these set lists?
Well, Stuart, do you want to take it, Jeff?
Well, I was just going to say, obviously, there's some signposts that we have to hit during the show. Like when I say signposts, it's like classic Tea Party songs from other records that if we didn't play them, there would be, a revolution in the audience, right? So it's a bit of a balancing act, and a bit of a tightrope feat, but we just sort of we get those signposts into the set, and then what we can do is go into some deep cuts from Triptych that maybe we haven't actually played ever, So I think we're going to try our hand this time in rehearsals at like Samsara, maybe a slight attack, things like that. So it's going to be a challenge because especially with some of those songs, it's a lot of this going on, But we shall see.
Yeah, right. I mean, if any band can do it, it's you guys. So it's just I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, Jeff's had to squint his eyes at many photos and pull out those primary colors because normally it's the drummer who's most busy, but honestly, in the Tea Party between Jeff, Stewart, and I, everyone is doing at least two things at a time. And the only thing that's going to be interesting about this one is, in fact, playing songs that we haven't played before. So we'll all come into the rehearsals well rehearsed, but it's going to be interesting once we start jamming together and seeing what, how many parts Jeff can handle at a time, because it can be a lot of work, plus, singing on top of it, right?
Yeah, what's it like actually almost relearning those songs? You'd almost not have listened to them for almost 25 years. Some of them really, do you have to go back and think, oh God, that's how it goes?
Well, the most challenging thing for me is trying to remember what the hell the fucking tuning was for the guitar. I mean, especially on that Triptych records. I mean, there were like songs like Samsara or Slight Attack, because of all the multiple guitar tracks going on. But my guitar wasn't in just one tuning for the whole song. I'd keep changing it just to get the right notes, the right sounds, anything like that. So what I've got to end up doing with my guitar work on a particular song off a Triptych is I've got to distill it down to something that works for all of the parts. It's very similar to like what Zeppelin had to do, because Page was the same, with all the multi-tracking of this guitar work. But when Zeppelin played live, it was just the one guitar. There's no backing tracks, no nothing. So you almost have to be like an alchemist and, like I said, distill it down to something that makes sense.
Excellent. Looking forward to that. Now, Australia's always been like a second home for the band. What do you think it is about this relationship that you forged with Australia that just works so well?
You have great taste.
Yeah. being the guy who still lives in Canada and not in Australia, I think they just love the fact that, we're a band that goes there, that doesn't show up with click tracks and backing tracks and never have. And we know as a band how to take an audience on a bit of a journey throughout the show. And throughout the years, Jeff, as a frontman, has developed this beautiful rapport, this beautiful communication between the audience that just kind of gets better and better. And I think they appreciate that. It's not a cookie cutter let's show up. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Like there's curveballs and low moments, and then you get smacked over the head with another big one right after we settle them down. Sorry, my dog just jumped off the chair, scared the shit out of me. You all right? Holy Christ! So I think it's fantastic the way we get to go to Australia and the way they do get to react to us, because it's more of a friendship. It's not, band and fans. I almost hate that idea. I like it. I like going to see people that we've seen over the years. I like seeing people we've seen over the years with their 18-year-old kids now, or their 20-year-old kids, or their 16-year-old kids. That to me is amazing. People think, well, you must feel really old when that happens. I'm like, no, it doesn't feel old. It's just amazing. There's nothing about being in a band and getting old. You're not working in a factory. You get the best job in the world, and you get to go and hang out with a bunch of your friends and perform for them. It's pretty fantastic.
Excellent. And I love you've become a generational band now. It just proves that you're making good enough music that parents want to share it with their kids. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's
great.
great.
Now, as we said, Triptych is turning 25. So can you tell us your best memory of when you released that album back in the late 90s in 99?
Mine would be, actually, it's just a bit prior to us going into the studio to start recording Triptych, because we went to this very special studio in the Laurentian Mountains, just north of Montreal, and it was called the Studio Morin Heights, and it's the place where the Police recorded Synchronicity. David Bowie recorded there, things like that. So it had a lot of history. But prior to us going up to Morin Heights, we were doing the last video for Transmission. We were doing what was it? We were doing Release, I think it was. And I just remember that I bought a Rickenbacker 12-string electric guitar, and because video shoots, the most boring thing to ever be a part of. Hate them. And I was sitting in my trailer with this new guitar, and I started fooling around with the tuning of it, and then I came up with this beautiful, beautiful chiming skip string part, which ended up being the main guitar line in what was to be Heaven Coming Down. And I remember going to Jeff and Stewart, like with my Rickenbacker guitar, and playing it for them. And I'm like, guys, I've just written our first #1 hit, right? And they're like, no, you haven't. But I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. And I did. So.
That was actually my next question, because for me, hearing that song, I knew of a couple before. I saw them on Recovery back here on TV, is where I was introduced to you guys. But hearing Heaven Coming Down, I was like, that's the song. That's just the best. So when you take a song like that into the studio, Jeff, you just explained it. Mr. Burrows, what did you think when you heard it for the first time?
I thought it was fantastic. I remember while we were on tour, so after we had shot the Release video, we were actually on tour with a very young band out of Florida called Creed. I don't know if you heard of Creed, but once we became a little bit friendly with those guys, Jeff started showing them that song and showing them songs off Edges of Twilight and so on and so forth. And ironically, their next album had a whole bunch of East Indian style tunings on it and so on and so forth. And I'm like, wait a minute. Mark Tremonti just ripped off Jeff Martin. This is amazing. And not cool, but amazing. No, but when we went into the studio with Heaven Coming Down, I mean, we already knew what we were going to do. That was kind of a song. Everyone has free reign, pretty much what they want to do on their instruments when a song goes in. But that song was so special. I wanted to make sure that Jeff and Stewart were completely, on board with what I was doing, because it's such a beautiful song. You didn't want it to be too soft, but you don't want it to be super heavy. So the tom-tom stuff came in, and it was maybe a little bit like U2 or something. But then when it came into that beautiful chimey chorus, I wanted it to be a little bit washy, and so I just went to one of my heavier crashes, big crashes, and rode that through it. And they just squished it a little bit in the mix, so it wasn't just this great big bash, and it sounded wonderful. So we kind of knew what we were doing going in, especially on that one, because it was just such a monster. I didn't want to fuck that up in any way. And it was easy enough to record on my end. And Jeff had played that and worked on it so much that song actually was recorded quite quickly, like half a day, if that, because it was such a number, right?
Yeah, I'll never forget when I saw you guys play here with the orchestra and hearing that song with the orchestra in Sydney. Mate, that was just taken to another level when that was done that way. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now, Triptych 25, as we said, are there any plans for a vinyl release? Is there any plans for any re-releases?
I believe there is. I believe there is. It's definitely something that, as we all know, the resurgence of vinyl now, and especially the remastering techniques that are out there to bring these things to life and actually add new life to them is it's astounding. So I am certainly hoping and throwing my hat in the ring to make that happen, but we shall see.
All right, look forward to that. Now it's been a little bit. Oh, sorry.
And mentioning the first time you saw us with Symphony and hearing Heaven Coming Down, that could also be something you hear in the future as well, possibly released. So we'll see.
All right. Well, they were recorded, were they?
Perhaps.
Well, there's been many Symphony recordings over the years. It's just picking the best one and which one won't make us bankrupt. So.
That's fair. That's fair.
That. Now, it's been a little while between new music. Has there been anything happening in terms of writing? Can we expect something soon?
The floodgates have opened up for me, so I'm starting to send stuff to Jeff and Stu, and when they get here, they're coming to stay with me on the Sunshine Coast before the tour starts in Perth. So we're going to be rehearsing up here, and then going into the studio for a day and just putting down some bed tracks and stuff. But yeah, like I said, the floodgates are open, and I'm really enjoying the process again. And what'd you think of that first one, Burrows, that I sent to you?
I like the fact that it didn't sound like it had to end at 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Just keep them going long, baby. I don't mind short songs if they're meant to be short, right? But one of Jeff's best qualities is writing these opuses that just make sense, and you really don't want them to end. And I love that. And we're at an age now where the catalog, the discography is 9, 10, whatever the hell, and radio is it relevant anymore? No. So why don't we do what we're best at? And honestly, the stuff that Jeff has sent so far is mind-boggling. So of course everybody would say that, but truly this it's very special stuff. So we can't wait to dig into it. It's going to be so much fun.
Can't wait to hear it. That's going to be fun. Now, let's look back a little bit, because over time can be very easy to say what can change. What's the one thing, though, that's always remained the same about the Tea Party?
I don't know.
I'll let Jeff start.
How very good looking we are. No, you know what? I tell you what it is this this bond that's between the three of us. Like a lot of people who would be unfamiliar with the Tea Party wouldn't realize how long we have actually known each other. Like I've known Jeff since I was 5 years old, and with him and I started our first band when, what was I, Jeff? 10? You were 11, or was I 11?
Something like 12? That. No, 10 and 11, I think, yeah.
10 and 11, yeah. And, it goes back that far. It's like we've almost been together as long as the freaking Rolling Stones. You know what I mean?
remember our first year in high school, in secondary school, and the Stones would release something, and we'd think to ourselves, "Man, these guys are old," and they were in their early 40s.
Oh, geez.
Amazing.
Feels that way. Now, let's think about this. If there was ever to be a biopic made about the Tea Party, what would you want it to be called?
Oh, wow. Hate to Love the Tea Party. No. That's the reference to the Nickelback biopic that's coming out. Sorry. I love the guys, but yeah, that's a pretty funny title. I know one, something quickly off the top of the head is dark shades of light.
Ooh,
Or light shades of dark. Take your pick. Really is.
I like those. That's
Because
good.
there's a lot of dark, but there's a little bits of light and hope that sneak in there, and that's the genius of Martin lyrics. So yeah, I'd say light shades of dark.
Okay, write that down. Use that for later. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Now you talked
See,
about
Jeff's
Jeff and
dumbfounded.
songwriting.
Jeff's dumbfounded. He has no words. I can't believe he's flabbergasted.
Let's talk about lyrics, because songwriting is an amazing thing, and Jeff, you do it so well. But if there's one song in the world you wish you wrote, what would that be and why?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, not for the monetary value. Like,
Really? One song that I wish I wrote. I don't know, man. That's such a difficult question, and it's something that I would have to think about for days, weeks, months, because my mind is just filled with so much music from different parts of the world and classical composers and things like that. So it's like it's actually, my friend, it's an impossible question to answer.
all right.
If I may interject, if I were Jeff Martin, I would choose something like a Leonard Cohen song, or something with a ton of poetics in it. Hallelujah is an easy example, obviously, but it'd be something. It's something that's poetic. It's not it's not chicks and cars and smoking cigars. It's something poetic and romantic and beautiful and sexy and passionate.
Okay, that works. Now, as we always do, let's look ahead to the future with a prediction. So I want you to finish this sentence for me. Each of you, different answer. By the end of the 2024, the Tea Party will
have a new records in the can.
Wow.
It doesn't know that.
That's bold. I was going to say by the end of 24, we will finally have plans to get back to Europe in the spring.
Okay, that's good either way. I'm happy with both of those. Oh, well, I'm not being you, but I mean, it's a good answer.
Yeah, but you could be the traveling journalist with us in Europe.
Oh, happily. that'd be fun. Gentlemen, always a pleasure to speak to you guys. I can't wait to see the show in June. I get back from like Uluru on the day of the show, so I'm going to be hightailing it to the Enmore to come and catch the show.
All right. Thank you so much,
guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.